Hello, everyone. Okay, so thank you for being here today. I'd like everyone to make sure that their cell phones are on airplane mode because we're about to begin. What you're looking at on the screen is the amount of hours in the last 7 days that people have been on their phones. These phones actually belong to people in this very classroom. What you can see from the results is that people are spending over 10 hours a week on Instagram. The person's results on the very end show that they are spending 15.7 hours on Facebook and 11.3 hours on Instagram a week. Who am I to judge though, right? This one's mine. I spend 15.3 hours on Instagram a week, plus an additional 9.3 hours on WhatsApp a week. Yes, you'll notice the 55 minutes on Uber Eats. Stress eating about Mac Live, or just very indecisive when it comes to my food orders. Did you know that the average person spends 4 years of his or her life looking down at a cell phone? Users spend an average of 73.3 hours a month on apps. And for some of us in this classroom, that statistic is only relevant to one app. Sorry. This also comes a little under 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours a day. So in 2.5 hours, I can go for a hike, I can take my dog for a walk, I can go to lunch with a friend, I can get my car cleaned instead of spending the 150 Rand because I didn't have the time. The point is that there's more value in spending time present than being behind your screen. If I dedicated 2.5 hours a day to learning a new language, I could learn that language in 51 days. One report by the Royal Society for Public Health in the UK surveyed 1,500 people ages 14 to 24 to determine the effects of social media use on issues such as anxiety, depression, self-esteem, and body image. These were the results. YouTube had the most positive impact. There you go, Arthur. While Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Snapchat all had negative effects on mental health. The answer is not avoidance, but rather to raise awareness of the effects and get everyone on board. There are problems with being alone and scrolling through Instagram. We start to feel self-critical when comparing our lives to others, and it always seems the person's idea of life just seems so much better on the other side. We don't know what their life is like when they aren't Instagramming themselves. I was given great advice from someone who said, don't follow Instagram accounts that make you feel like you have to be someone else. I think it's very important on Instagram for who we follow and who we inspire ourselves to be, as we are a generation that's still trying to figure out where life is going as we go by. These are examples of positive, influential accounts that I follow. For those interested in fitness, they're accounts that can motivate you to get out of bed and smash that workout. Any foodies in the room? There are plenty of accounts for that. Great inspiration and ideas. And if you're having a vegan friend over for dinner, you literally have no excuse. Literally. Engagement with our phones and social media releases a chemical in our brains called dopamine. Dopamine happens when you receive a text, get the like, and get that attention. This chemical is released. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. That means that it's highly addictive. This raises the scary fact that we have no age restriction on cell phones and social media. This brings me to the younger generation. Majority of us in this room have grown up without social media and were introduced to it. I got Facebook in 2007, and I remember making my first Facebook profile picture of Emma Watson. I mean, I was obviously a huge Harry Potter fan back then, but I didn't worry about what I looked like in the picture. I mean, it wasn't even a picture of me. I didn't worry how many likes I would get, but now it seems that likes seem to be validating our self-worth. Majority of us in this room are also millennials. What are significant memories of growing up? Zippy Nippy, Tamagotchi, Heelys, Teletubbies, catchers stuck in the mud. Growing up, although we had Nickelodeon, KTV, Cartoon Network, we also had plenty of these outdoor interactive games. These games required communication, fun, participation, and just being outside. Now imagine growing up with phones and social media around us from the day we are born with no age restriction, no limitations whatsoever. Imagine how arbitrary it would be Instagramming your own 15-year-old birthday party. Too many young teenagers now don't know how to form deep and meaningful relationships. And when stress occurs in their lives, they sit behind their screen and don't often ask for help or go to a friend. Social networks are causing us to live more and more in an antisocial world. Face it, WhatsApp confrontation is easier. If you want to break up with your boyfriend, you kind of set the tone first on WhatsApp. If you're angry with a roommate because they didn't clean the dishes from the night before, you don't send that extra smiley face on WhatsApp. And when they want to know what's wrong, you say nothing, full stop. You want them to know that what is up is not good at all. Tinder, bluntly, is based on looks. You're swiping left and or you're swiping right based on what the person's face looks like. Kind of ironic, don't you think, how these touchscreens seem to be making us lose touch? How often have you gone out for a meal and sat down watching people not actually speaking to one another, just looking down at their phones? Or you and your family being guilty of doing that? We say it's bad, but we still do it, right? The evolution of the smartphone. It's getting bigger, it's getting faster, and it's getting more convenient, and it's definitely going to be here to stay. For now, it's 2.5 hours a day that we are sitting on our phones. What is that going to be in 5 years' time? Our cell phones are becoming our own personal robotic PAs. But don't you think it's getting a bit far and kind of making us a little less human? And how much convenience is too much convenience? The truth is, we are relying on our phones and technology more and more every year, and it is a valuable tool now in the workplace environment. It's crucial then to therefore understand the harm that it can bring, and in order for parents to be prepared to teach their children of when to use their phones and when to put it down. This talk is not about me encouraging you to throw your phone in the bin the minute you leave this room. It's to put this all into perspective and give you the idea that maybe that 2.5 hours a day on your phone is not worth it. There's more you can do with your life. We have the present and the people we love around us. We should be making real, authentic memories, not just Instagram stories. Thank you.